Back again with some Legend of the Galactic Heroes. This still is the weirdest show for me to talk about, as, you know, again, as we've mentioned as well from last week with the first episode, this is obviously a series where it's had such a high, reputation for, the longest time, and plus as well, again, it's the only series I'm talking about where I'm watching the original at the same time. As for an update, I've only seen 3 more episodes since the last time. I've seen probably about 5 episodes. However, what I did do as well was see the movies, since this was something that was highly recommended to me to watch, as the first one takes place before the series, before the actual OVA series, and the second one is a much better version of the first 2 episodes. It recaps the Battle of Ashtat, I believe is this actual battle. Although the way how they handle it at this episode especially was it's interesting, and it's it definitely shows off as well with the ending as well, where whether or not this is going to be the entirety of the show, but how they handle it compared to how the first episode of the OVA was, is the first week we had from Reinhardt's perspective, and this one was heavily on Yang Wen-li, which is the other main protagonist, which I like him a lot in the OVAs, from what we've seen so far. But I would definitely say they are kind of skimming around some of the little finer new details of some of the soldiers and some of how they feel about it, where as it's trying to get into into the main battle. And you know, in this episode we wrap up this battle, which we get to see it was what was happening during when Reinhardt is planning, is they and all the entire Federation was we have no idea what's going on, and it's Yang Wen-li was the only person that was predicting any of this stuff happening, and he gave it to his Commodore, where it's he gave these plans to his Commodore, where it's look, we don't worry, the encirclement hasn't happened yet, and this is the problem, where it's unfortunately, because he is not in in command, he is just he's not, his Commodore is, and it's look, I'm just here to try and give you some advice and everything, and it's no, listen here, man, this is a problem. And it's nah, we've got more soldiers, we've got more fleets and all that, it's fine, we're in a free position. It's yeah, but what happens if they go and try and take you can't predict them. It's let's just be on the safe side, and no. Unfortunately, I believe the guy was a vice admiral, I think his name was Pater, it's look, he isn't gonna go. And you see from their perspective, and I kind of the one little bit, because I remember the guy was oh, I guess he didn't go through your plans and everything, was the same kind of guy he shared a room with in the original, and he kind of talked about it, because the first original episode of Legend of the Galactic Heroes, you see it both of these happening at the same time, but now in this one you get to see how this builds up into, oh my god, how right everyone was and all that, and it's you're a full vice admiral, and Yang was completely right through all of this. I will say so far, what you get to see in the episode is he delivers himself in stride. I definitely like Yang. Out of the two, if we're going on that Reinhardt and adding it to Yang, I like Yang a lot. I think Yang's a pretty, he doesn't come off cocky, but he seems he's always very confident. He does seem he always has a bit of a smirk, shitting grin on him. It's he kind of knows what is going on there. And even when it was hitting off, where it's we need to contact the 4th fleet, it's no, there's already, it's they're hitting us with counter UAVs, they're hitting us with they're jamming our signals, and it's look, we need to join back up with the other group. But the problem is, it's no, but the admiral there, he's a very nice, a great man and all that. It's from I believe it was the 4th fleet. It's no, but he's my friend, you see. And that was the thing I was they didn't mention in the in this version, where it was he's actually a old friend of this vice admiral, where it was no, I trust him, he's my friend, and I want to go and save him. But he had to be really realistic with it, as he was dude, look, we have a higher chances if we go and regroup with our other forces right now. even if we reach them, we won't be in time to save them. And, like, he's just, like, putting his fist to the ground, and he's like, no, like, we could save them and all that. Like, why do you have to, like, be, like, not everything works just on, like, numbers and predictions. And it's like, I'm like, dude, you're a fucking Vice Admiral. You gotta think about your, like, your crew's lives. And it's like, it's very selfish just to think, I know that's your friend. And it's like, to be fair, like, another thing which is in the, like, original, like, we see a tiny bit as well in, when he's talking to his friend who's on that ship, like, with Yang. He's like, no, like, I've got a buddy there too. Yang understands that. Like, he's got someone on that side, and it shows he's being more rational about this. And he completely understands. It's like, look, I've got a friend in this war too, but we need to fucking think with these and not with these. Like, that's just how it is, like, generally. Like, overall, like, from what we're saying, is like, he's like, look, we could have 28,000 ships. We can turn this into like a 50-50 odds of victory. We could have that. And he's just like, I'm saying we might have to leave the 4th Fleet to die because it's their fault. And it's just like, oh, like, just how it all just decreases down. It's just like, and thankfully, as they got hit, even though not a lot of them took, like, oh, the Vice Admiral was one of the people that was like, who got completely blown away, whereas, like, he's bloody and is like, no, alright, Yang Wenli's in charge of the ship. Or, oh, am I now? Right, get in the chair. Right, here's what we're gonna do. Let's actually do my fucking orders. It's like, and how they all kind of regroup, and it's like, the whole plan of, like, when Reinhardt with them was like, he was gonna go through the middle of them and kind of, like, splatter them out. It's like, no, they had this planned already with, like, Yang Wenli, and obviously when he kind of announced it as well to, like, the Empire as well, saying, you know, oh, we're gonna win this, and we're gonna, it kind of felt a little bit of, like, cockiness inside of Reinhardt, and it's like, alright, like, they're entering that formation, get ready, here we go. And, like, the way how this battle turns out is literally just a game of duck, duck, goose, as they're, like, spinning around in circles, just going round and round, and they're like, this is so fucking stupid. Like, I loved how everyone was like, this is stupid, and this is just gonna cause more casualties on both sides. And that's the thing. Yang Wenli actually drawed this out to a stalemate. Like, out of every kind of situation that he could have had with, like, the limited resources that he had at the end, it was like, no, the most I can actually do at this point is draw this out. And it was like, no, both of them agreed at the end. It's like, you know what, this is fucking stupid, and both of them went back. However, though, regardless, it's like, it's not really a loss for, like, for the Empire, where it's like, no, this isn't, we didn't actually, like, lose this, because at the end of the day, we destroyed the fleet. Although our whole kind of idea was to overtake, like, to occupy this planet, like, for the most part, and, like, we did come out of this very, very good. The forces lost, like, the Federation lost a lot of people out of this scenario, and it's like, they lost the 4th Fleet of this, they lost a heavy amount of numbers. But regardless, it was like, no, but Yang actually managed to get them to retreat, so both sides are on a little bit of a victory overall right now. Yeah, like, definitely talking about the show, and talking more about it, I really do like Legend of the Galactic Heroes. It's something about watching, like, the original and this, it's like, I like this because it feels fresh, it feels something new, and that has to be from something that came out years and years ago. Because you don't get characters that act like this anymore. You don't have characters that, like, are portrayed in this way. It's like, no, let's actually have a look at, like, some of these people. And it's like, no, because the stuff that we get nowadays is just fucking, well, for the most part, drivel. But this, it interests me. Like, how they're using their strategies against each other. And it is interesting to me. However, I will say, if anything, as someone that is watching the original show, and clearly that this series hasn't got the advantage of having so many episodes to go through the material, they obviously do have to skim through some of the details. So if this show is generally, I feel like, is going to be a more streamlined version of Legend of the Galactic Heroes that it's going to like adapt all of the series, but it is going to skim out some of the stuff that like the studio is even going to deem that it's like, we can't do that, we can't add that scene in there, and it doesn't add to the overall arcing plot and to the more important characters. So I do fully understand that. At the end of the day, I know people are going to be, like, they're going to be losing their minds, but it's like, this is the world that we live in. We can't do 110 episode OVAs again. Like, we can't do that kind of crazy stuff anymore. And it's like, at the end of the day, I mean, I know people still complain about the designs, but personally, I don't mind them. I honestly don't mind the updated designs, although I still think, like, a lot of them got updated where it's like, holy shit, I can't even recognize that fucking character anymore. Like, unless he had red hair. It's like, I will completely agree with that, and people probably want to keep the old original, like, film, but it's like, overall, like, I feel like you have two situations, like, with this, where it's like, no, like, you either have the original series, which a lot of people, you know, just, they won't be able to take, because that's not, like, a lot of people just can't stand old animation, and I completely understand that viewpoint on there, but personally, I'm a person that is like, if it's a good fucking story, and it's something I'm really interested in, I can go through that. Like, Fist of the North Star has aged like fucking milk, and it's still, I enjoy that show. Like, I still enjoy it, but I would hardly, I still more recommend the manga than anything for the most part. But overall, yeah, like, I want to know generally what people thought about this and all that, and I'm definitely still going to be keeping up with this show, and I enjoy it on there, like, I really do, and I definitely want to keep up with both the remake and also as well with the original, but I should hopefully be getting through more of the original show, and then adding more, a little bit clarity, since obviously I haven't seen so many more episodes since then, so I hope to at least get a couple more down under the belt, so I at least know what's going to be happening in the next coming, like, weeks of episodes, and, like, what's going to be happening with certain characters and whatnot. But that's all for me. Thank you always for watching, and I'll see you guys, though, next time.